Hello, everyone. I can see some of you still joining, but let's get started. I'll briefly introduce myself and the speaker for today. My name is Sana Majid, and I'm working as learning strategist at atomcamp Arabia. For those who are joining us for the first time, let me tell you briefly about atomcamp. So, atomcamp Arabia provides AI solutions and AI trainings across Pakistan, UK, KSA, and beyond. So this is yet another webinar in our AI learning series, and we have already had some great sessions with Dr. Sabah Kuzbai, Matthew Winters, Zina Shalish, where we explored how AI is transforming overall and decision making. And I'm very excited to introduce our speaker today, Cynthia Castillo. She is head of instruction at Skillset with over 8 years of experience in training development across Latin America, US, Europe, Middle East. So Cynthia has taught at leading institutions including Coding Dojo, General Assembly, Código Facilito, and Bogota Institute of Technology. And her expertise spans Java, Python, JavaScript, backed by experience in IT, consulting, and strong belief in education as a driver of impact. And today's topic is also very extremely relevant to us because we will be talking about software engineering in the age of AI. So it will how AI is, reshaping software engineering and skill developers need to stay relevant. Before we begin, you are welcome to drop your questions in the chat box anytime. It's open for you. Reactions are also open throughout the session, and we have dedicated time for Q&A in the last 15 minutes. This session is it has open access, so feel free to share it with your colleagues, your friends. They can join us live. So over to you, Cynthia.
Thank you so much. So I'm just gonna start the presentation. Hold on a sec. There you go. Perfect. There you go. So hello everyone, and thank you for being here today. Um, as uh, as they say before, let me introduce myself. My name is Cynthia Castillo, and I'm a tech educator and academic leader. I've taught software engineering around the world, from Latin America to the Middle East. And I'm really excited to have this conversation with you because this topic is not only technical, but it's also very human. We're living in a moment that where artificial intelligence is changing the way we write code, the way we learn, and even the way we think about our careers as software engineering. Now, a lot of people feel excited about this. A lot of people feel overwhelmed, but a lot of people feel scared. Today is not about the hype, it's not about the fear, it's about clarity. We're going to talk about what AI actually does in software engineering, how we can integrate it into our daily work, and why, despite everything you hear online, software engineers are still very much needed. The role is changing, but we need to understand how it's changing. So let's begin. Why this topic matters right now. AI tools didn't arrive slowly, they arrived all at once. Suddenly, we have tools that can generate code in seconds, that can fix bugs, that can write tests, that can explain frameworks. And this creates a very important question. If a tool can do in seconds what used to take me hours, what is my value as a developer? I hear this question constantly from students, from junior developers, and even from experienced engineers. The problem here is not the question. The problem is the answers we sometimes give ourselves. Because some people think, well, now I don't need to learn this deeply anymore, or I'll just copy and paste and that will be enough. Others think, and this is the scary part of all of this, AI will replace me. Today, we're going to challenge all those three ideas. Now, let's talk about what AI really is. AI does not understand your code. It does not understand your product. It does not understand your users. What it does is predict patterns based on an enormous amount of data. This is why AI can be incredibly useful, but incredibly dangerous at the same time. It can generate code that looks correct, that follows conventions, and even runs. But runs does not mean that it's secure, that is maintainable, that is scalable, or that is correct for your specific context. This is where software engineering, not just coding, becomes critical. Now, AI is a tool, but not a decision maker. One of the biggest mistakes I see is treating AI like an authority. But AI is not a senior developer, it's not a tech lead, and it's definitely not an architect. AI does tasks. Decisions like, is this approach appropriate, or what are the trade-offs, or what happens in edge cases, what are the long-term consequences? These decisions are human decisions. When something breaks in production, AI will not be responsible for that. You're gonna be responsible for that. And here is why judgment is not optional in the time of AI. It is essential. Now, how AI fits into my daily engineering work. Let's talk about where AI actually helps me. In real day-to-day software engineering, AI is great for generating boilerplate code, creating first drafts, explaining unfamiliar code bases, suggesting refactors, writing initial tests. This can save me a lot of time. But notice something important. All of these are starting points. AI helps you move faster from 0 to 1, but it does not replace the work between 1 and production. That part, reviewing, improving, validating, is still your responsibility. Now, I'm going to be totally honest with you. I use AI almost every day, but I'm very intentional about how I use it. I use it to unblock myself. I use it to explore alternatives. I use it to code faster and understand code faster. I will never use it without reading the output, without questioning the solution, without adapting it to my context. So reading, question, modifying it is what makes me a good engineer. AI is like a very fast junior developer. It will be helpful, it will be productive, but still needs some supervision here. So now, let's move into a concrete example. Imagine we want to create a simple landing page, something basic, with maybe a navigation bar, a hero section, a contact form. I could write this myself, or I can ask the AI to give me a starting point. And that's exactly where AI shines. But here's the key. I don't just run the code. I read it, I question it, I modify it. Because if I don't understand what the code is doing, then I'm not engineering, I'm just copying. So right here, I have a prompt. Will be it is create a simple responsive landing page using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Include a navigation bar, a hero section, a contact form, use clean and readable code. This is a very common prompt. Simple, clear, reasonable, and AI will usually give me something that looks pretty good. You'll usually get a basic HTML structure, some CSS styling, maybe a little bit of JavaScript for interaction. And this is the problem. Many people stop there. They just copy the code, paste it into the editor, open the browser, and say, it works. But this is exactly where the problem begins, because software engineering does not start when the code runs. It starts when you understand why it runs. So here, I took this same prompt and run it across 3 different projects using GitHub Copilot and VS Code. So let's show it right there. Have the first project right here. I usually use Copilot for my coding projects because it integrates really well with VS Code. I have it right here. If you want to open it, it's on the right side. You can just click right there and you'll find the chat icon where you can simply describe the project right here, describe what to build next. And the magic here happens when you actually describe really well what you're trying to do. And you can even attach files to give the AI more context if needed. One thing I really like compared to other AI tools is that Copilot doesn't just suggest the code, it actually creates a project for you. Now, that includes folders, files, and even README files. This saves a lot of time and helps me focus on what really matters. Another thing about Copilot is that it's trained on a large amount of public repositories, which means it works especially well with the most popular programming languages and frameworks like Java, like Python, like JavaScript. So if you're using commonly used tools, you'll usually get very good results with Copilot. It's also great when working with backend because it reminds me a lot of the commands I need to run and to get everything up and running. So let's talk about the 3 cases that I have right here. The generated code was pretty different between the 3 projects, but in all of the 3 cases, there were small things that I could improve. The first project, to be honest, it's really amazing. If you see right here, we have an index.html. We have a specific folder for the CSS with the
Speaker,
styles CSS.
are you showing some screen for that? Because we can still see the live example slide.
Oh, thank you
Yeah.
so much for telling me this. Hold on a second. Hold on. Do you see my win? It's still, hold on. I see the issue now. There you go. Can you see my Visual
Perfect.
Studio Code?
Yes.
Amazing. So I'm gonna step out and okay, so here you go. Here's the chat that I was telling you about right there. And in here, you can describe the thing that you want to build. So you're going to be describing your project right there. And you see right here, I have the first project that I was telling you about. Again, I'm using the exact same prompt. Create a simple responsive landing page using HTML, CSS, JavaScript, include a navigation bar, a hero section, a contact form, using clean and readable code. So right here, as I was telling you before, we have an index.html file, and it's a pretty well structured and organized folder. If you see, I have a directory for my CSS and my CSS file right there. I have a JavaScript folder. I have my script.js right there. So it looks clean, it looks well organized, and now I'm gonna be showing you the final result of this project. Again, I didn't do anything apart from putting the prompt right there. So the final result for this is this first landing page. It looks pretty good. It looks pretty complete. It follows a prompt that I was putting into Copilot. But if you look a little bit closer, I noticed a small issue right there in the feature section and in the contact form. Now, I could leave it like that, but honestly, as a software engineer, I'm always aiming for something better. So right here, I have 2 options. I can ask Copilot to regenerate the code and risk getting something completely different, or I can use my own logic and improve it myself. Remember what I told you? We read, we question, we adapt, we modify. So let's do it together. So what I'm going to be doing right now is I'm going to be using the developer tools from Google Chrome, and I'm just going to right click right here. I'm going to inspect, and right there, I'm seeing something. First of all, let's analyze what we have here. I see a section, and in the section, I have ID features, and I have a class, container, and features. Now, how do I know that? How do I know how it's working? Because I have the basics. I have the fundamentals to know and read the code as it's displaying. So first thing I noticed right there is we have an ID features. And you know what? We're not even using it. I see right here ID features, class container features. On the right side of my developer tools, I see the styles that we have right there. So the ID is not even used. How do I know that? This dot right here means that we're selecting a class, and the class is the one that's having the styles. So the ID is not being used. Just to double check it, I'm going to go back to my code. I'm going to check right here in my styles. So if I know that the hashtag means ID. So I'm going to search for features. I don't see it there. Double sure, I'm going to go to the script for my JavaScript and also look for features. I don't have it right there. So something really important, one of our golden rules in software engineering is don't add things that you're not using. So that's something that we can clean up right away. I just take that out. But now let's focus on the main thing here. I want this to look better. So I want to center those sections so it looks better in my landing page. So if I didn't know any better, what I would do is try and modify the styling this. So I'll try maybe a text, align, center, and that's not really what I wanted. It's just centering the text. Go ahead, Mubashir.
Mubashir, you can type your question in the chat box.
So if I didn't do any better, I will do something like this. Didn't work. It's not giving the things that I wanted. I'll try something else. I'll try align items center. Didn't quite work as I expected to. So here, here is where experience really matters. When I look at the problem, I can usually recognize what's going on and have a good idea of how to fix it. But that didn't happen overnight. It comes from trying different approaches, making mistakes, having things break, and then going back to fix them. I've failed many times. I learned from those failures and tried it again. So this comes from the experience, from learning the things or the fundamentals that we have here on software engineer. So what I'm going to be actually doing is I'm just going to add one line. I'll do margin 0 auto, and there you go. Again, this comes from learning my fundamentals. One line of code solves the issue. Let's try it with the next section too. So margin 0 auto, amazing. Good result. So now I want us to move to the second project. Again, same exact from different result. Let's see it together. So right now, my second project is this one right here. We're having the same prompt. Now, first thing I see is the structure that AI is giving me is a little bit different from the first one. It's not wrong. It's perfect. We have my index.html. I have a README file, script.js, my styles. Again, all of this was created by Copilot. It now what I want us to do is think about something that will happen constantly as a software engineer. The client will come back to you and say, hey, I want some changes in the website. Maybe let's first see the actual website. It's this right here. It looks pretty good. Also, maybe some changes here and there, but it looks pretty amazing. Imagine your client comes back at you and says, we want to add one more feature to the website. So again, analyzing, reading, questioning, modify. So what I'm going to be doing is, again, using the developers tools that I have in Chrome. I'm going to right click here. I'm going to inspect the element. And I see we have this section with features, having the ID also, but it's fine. We'll leave it like that. And then right there, I have a row with my features. So if I open here, I see article, article, and article. So my instinct says, let's just create one more article to add that extra feature that my client wants. So let's do it together. I'm going to go right here to the project. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to copy this article right here. I'm going to paste it right there. And I just put new feature there. Amazing. So I change it right here. Let's go back to the project and see the changes. Right there, it's giving a good look, but it's not quite what I was expecting. What I want to do is I do have enough space to put all the features in one single row. And here's the problem. The structure AI is giving me isn't scalable. It's designed for exactly 3 features, and it doesn't leave a lot of room to grow. So instead, again, based on the experience that you have, based on what I've learned, and based on a decision, I'll do it myself. I want to turn this. I see right here, I have a feature grid. I have a feature grid. I know that we have display grid because I know about it and because I know how the different options that I have right there. I'll do the following. Instead of having a display grid, I'll follow a flex layout. So I'm going to be changing instead of grid here, I'll do flex. That starts looking better. Okay. And just to be sure, I'll put that each article that I have will have a flex one, and that will make me every single article of the same width. Again, I'm basing all that I'm doing in the experience that I have, in the things that I've learned, and I'm making a decision myself. That's engineering. Now, the client comes back to you and now they say, I want, instead of having 2025 right there, I want you to put 2027 in the footer. So again, let's read it. So right click, inspect. So right there, it's telling us the ID is 2025. So my instinct says, let's change it. Instead of 2025, let's put there 2027. So let's make the change together. So right here, I'll do 2027. And if I go back there and refresh my website, it didn't change. So what's the problem that I'm having right here? I'm not reading the code that AI gave me. I just started making changes. So what I actually need to do is read the code that they gave me in order to know what needs to be changed and how it's working in order for the changes to be reflected on the website that I'm doing. So I'm going to go back and now let's analyze right here the script that we have. The script right there in the first lines, it says year in the footer. So the year that I'm having is automatic. So I'm just going to comment this out. I'm going to save it. And if I come back, there you go, 2027. I'll leave it there for now. Now, the third project that Copilot gave me seems a little bit outdated. So I'm just going to leave it like that. I'm not even going to start with that. Now let's do something more interesting. Let's build a small system that manages pet records and displays them in an HTML table. Um, I think someone has their hand raised.
Yeah, and we have one question in the chat box also.
Okay. Uh, Let me look at the
Yeah,
chat
it
box.
says,
Oh, there you go. In what cases is it better to start with a prompt and then modify it versus starting from scratch without AI? Um, this is a very hard question. It will be depending on the requirements. It will be depending of your experience, but usually Copilot or in general AI will give me a great starting point. So what I would do is start maybe with AI and then move on to the changes that I want and adapt it to the solution that I'm trying to reach. Perfect.
Usman Ali, you can type your question in the chat box.
While they're typing, I'm going to continue then. So we wanted to create, oh, okay. I think that this question is more for atomcamp. So so we were doing a small system. And I want my prompt to be very simple, just with a basic requirement. We're going to be creating a Python application that stores pet records and displays them in an HTML table. Each pet will be having a name, type, age. So again, I already have a project generated from that exact prompt. I will show you right here. Here you go. So we wanted to create a Python application that stores per records and displays them in HTML table with name, type, and age. Now, it created a simple Flash application. Again, all of the code, all of the files, all of the folders that I have were created by Copilot. And I have right here my app.py. Let's read it. Again, read, question, modify. I'm reading it right now, and I see we're importing Flask. We're creating the app. We have a data structure. We don't have a database right now, but we do have a data structure to establish the information. I'm creating a route right there. And my route is going to be displaying index.html, and we're sending the data structure to the index.html. I also have a templates folder right there, and I have my index.html, which just iterates in the data structure that is sending from app to the HTML. So I have everything installed and ready. So let's run it right here. Again, something that's pretty great about Copilot is that you can initially have the different commands in order for your project to run correctly. So here it was suggesting to install the requirements. I already have the requirements, so I'm just going to run it right here. So I have it right here. Let's run app. I'm just going to enter, and it says right there, amazing. It's running right here. Let's open it together. And it looks good. Now, yes, it works perfectly. But here's where the real engineering conversations start. We're using Flask right now, and Flask is a great option, but it's not the only option that there is. There are many Python frameworks that could work for a task like this. And if I don't know what those options are or how they fit into what I'm building, I cannot really make a good decision. This is where knowledge and judgment really matter. I need to understand the trade offs, the context, and the goal of the system to decide what approach makes sense. AI made this easy because it created the project for me, but it didn't make the decision for me. That responsibility is still mine. And this is why the prompt itself needs to be precise. So I need a good prompt in order to make a good decisions. How do I know that? Because I've taken the time to learn. I understand the tools and the different alternatives that I have for this. AI isn't telling me this. I know it myself. I can only ask for a better solution if I already understand the problem space. So what I said with my original prompt, let's go back. So my original prompt was very simple. And I'm saying to the AI, choose whatever you want. But in reality, that creates a risk. a risk of having a random architecture for my project, a risk of having any framework used for my project. So let's try maybe being more precise, having a decision for myself. So my prompt will be a little bit different. It will be now create a simple Django project. So Django is another framework a little bit more robust than Flask. So create a simple Django project to manage pet records. Use a basic model for pets, render the data in a template as an HTML table, avoid unnecessary complexity, explain what each component is used. And again, I have the project right here. Let's see it together. Here you go. So creating a simple Django project. Again, Copilot is great with all of the commands that will take you to run your project and have it everything working out. So if you see right here, it's telling me to install Django, to start the project, to start right here, to start the app, and it's creating all of the files that I need for the project to run correctly. Again, remember, we don't just stop there. We analyze, we read, we modify the things that we have. So the first thing that I notice, we'll see right here, the main files that I have, the main files that the AI gave me. So the first thing that I notice is that I have a more structured and organized folder. I have right here, if you see right here, I have a models file. And in this model file, I'll have the class that will be belonging to the pet and the different information that I have for them. I have URLs file. I have a URL file that will give me the route that I'm going to be showing. I have my views, and my views will be telling me what to display. In this case, the pet list.html will be displaying, and I'm going to be getting all the pets, and I'm going to be sending those pets to the HTML. And right here, I have the HTML, which has a simple table right there. Perfect. So now that I know what's happening here, I can easily modify it. I can easily analyze it. Another thing that it's worth talking about right there is that I have a database right here. It's a very lightweight database. It's called SQLite. But notice it's a database, not just a data structure like we had on the other project. So now we have a brand new solution. It's trying to solve something, and it's better organized, it's more robust. And even with this brand new solution, I still need to understand what the code is doing. How is it doing? That's how my code stays maintainable. Because if tomorrow my client or my tech lead asks me to change something, I know exactly where to go and what to adjust to make it happen. AI can only reflect the decisions you already know how to make. So let's go back to our presentation right here. And what the demos actually revealed. After walking through the landing page and the backend examples, I want to pause for a second because what we just saw was not a problem with AI. AI did exactly what it's supposed to do. It created amazing projects. It generated code quickly. It gave us something that worked. It helped me. It helped me move forward. The interesting part in here is not what AI did. The interesting part is where humans tend to stop. In every demo, there was a very clear moment, the moment where code worked. And that moment feels like a finish line. But in software engineering, that's usually where the real work starts. What the demos really revealed is AI is great. It's great for getting us something that works. But engineering begins when we ask, is this the right solution for the system, for the context, for the future of the project that I have? AI accelerates the beginning, but it will not replace the thinking that comes after it. So the real question in here is, what should you actually review when Copilot or any AI gives you code? Not, does it work? That's the easy part. Of course, it's going to work. When I receive code from Copilot, I always check a few things. First, the structure that it's giving me. Do I understand how this is organized? Is it everything mixed together just because can I explain where the things live? Why are they there? I want to check for responsibilities. Is each piece of the code doing one clear thing, or is everything mixed up because it was convenient? Assumptions. What is this code assuming about the data, the input, or the environment? What happens when those assumptions change? I want to look for maintainability. If I had to change this tomorrow, would I feel confident touching it, or would I be afraid of breaking something that I don't understand? And finally, context. Is the solution right for this project, for this team, for this moment in time? So Copilot will help me write code faster, but it cannot answer those questions for me. That's my job. AI will help me move faster, but reviewing is where engineering actually happens. Now, let's talk about the foundations in software engineering. This is why foundations matter more now, not less. You will be needing your fundamentals to detect bad AI suggestions, identify edge cases, understand performance implications, make architectural decisions. AI does not know what is right for your system. You do, or at least you should know. And that ability comes from understanding the code. Foundations will give you judgment. And judgment does not apply itself automatically. Having knowledge will not mean that you will use that knowledge, especially under pressure. We have deadlines, expectations, context switching, or that works, let's move on. No, this is where many good engineers fail. Not because they don't know better, but because shortcuts feel safe in the moment. And that's where the next problem begins. Now, I'm sure all of us engineers have come to this place that it works. There's a moment in almost every project where something finally works. The test pass, the page loads, the feature is marked as done, and subconsciously your brain says, great, you're all done. Everything works. But in software engineering, the it works will not be the finish line. It's just my first checkpoint. When we stop here, we don't fail immediately. We fail later when we need to change something. So, what is the cost of stopping early? It will be code that you don't fully understand. And this becomes code that you're afraid to touch. And when engineers are afraid to touch code, changes will be slowing you down. Bugs will take longer. Teams will lose confidence. This is not a talent problem, it's a decision problem. And AI makes this decision easier to justify. AI will not create bad engineering habits, it will amplify existing ones. If you already stop at the it works, AI will help you stop faster. That moment of struggle that once showed us we didn't fully understand something is no longer that. And without it, many people start to confuse working faster with learning or progressing. And here's the thing, AI is confident. It will always be confident, but confident doesn't mean correct. AI will not hesitate. It will not say, hey, I'm not sure about the solution. I've seen AI generated solutions that look perfect, but hide serious problems underneath. And if you stop early, you won't notice those problems until production does. So here's when judgment matters the most. And that's exactly when many people already checked out. The biggest risk of AI is not that it replaces developers. The real risk is that developers slowly remove themselves from responsibility. When you stop owning your decisions, you stop being an engineer. And that's what actually puts your career at risk, not the tool. So at this point, this is usually the moment when someone raises their hand or the chat starts filling up. So let's address it directly. Will AI replace developers? And the short answer for this is no. But here's a more honest answer. AI would replace certain kinds of work, certain kinds of jobs. And developers who don't move beyond that work will feel like they're being replaced. AI is extremely good at repetition, at boilerplate, at mechanic tasks, and low context decisions. That's not a bad thing. That's part of the job we should be automating. But AI does not replace what actually defines an engineer. AI will not understand the system as a whole. AI will not make trade offs. It will not own outcomes. And it's never going to be accountable when something goes wrong. Those are not limitations we'll fix with a better model. Those are boundaries. And inside those boundaries is where engineering actually lives. So if your value was, I can code faster than other people, AI will be a threat for you. Your value here is to understand what we're building, why we're building it, and what happens when things change. AI is an amplifier to this. AI will not compete with good engineers, but it will expose the bad habits that engineers have. So, what do we want from an engineer? The engineer that AI needs, because the future will not belong to engineers who write the most code, who write the most lines of code. It will belong to the engineers who understand the systems, to make this that make decisions intentionally and that take responsibility when things go wrong. AI doesn't reduce the value of engineers. It will raise the bar for them. Uh, we have a question right here in the chat. Are QC jobs at risk of being replaced by AI? Again, AI will help you create code. It will help you with test cases. It will help you with use cases, but it will never replace the thinking and the decision making that an engineer has for it. So again, short answer, no. But we need to update, we need to own the code that we have. So I want to close with this thought. AI will be writing code, AI writes code, but developers make decision. Software engineering has never been about code. It's about responsibility. It's about understanding. It's about impact. AI will continue to evolve. Tools will get better, code generation will get faster, but judgment, ethics, and responsibility will remain human. The future belongs to engineers who understand both the technology and the consequences of using it. AI is not here to replace you, it's here to challenge you to become better. Software engineering was never about just typing code. It's about understanding the systems and creating solutions. If AI can replace what you do, then what you're doing is in engineering. So the future belongs to people who can reason, design, debug, and explain. Thank you so much. We'll open the space for questions.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. It was a lovely, lovely webinar. Everyone, if you have any questions, please type it in the chat. We have one more question, Cynthia, and in this one question, there are three sub questions. So, Anik says that if AI engineering, especially in Gen AI, is increasingly becoming closer to software engineering rather than traditional machine learning, data science, or analytics, why is there still so much emphasis on AI engineers building LLM based systems? One question. And he also writes that why is AI engineering not treated primarily as a software engineering role, that focuses on designing, scaling, deploying, etc.
Okay, so there's a lot of more things that AI is learning about software engineering. There's a lot of decision making that is still responsibility of the engineers. That's why a lot of things are not as a requirement in into what we're doing. So there's a lot of decision making that still rely on the engineers to make it work correctly. I do see another question in the chat. Recommend best language for web development. In here, it will be depending on your style and what you want to do, but I really recommend Python. I really recommend JavaScript, and I really recommend Java. Those three are the main web development languages that you can use, and there's a lot of great documentation. There's a lot of good jobs for that.
Yes. Any other question that you would like to ask? Thank you so much, Cynthia, for such an insightful and engaging webinar. It was truly amazing to explore that where and how AI can be used effectively, where to use AI, where not to use it. And and just as importantly, to understand where human judgment and intervention remain essential. Even when AI can generate code, the session clearly highlighted that strong problem solving skills are still needed to decide questions like how, where, why, which frameworks should be applied where, right? So the understanding for this balance was very important for all of us. And participants, please stay connected with us on our social media channels, where we regularly share updates about our upcoming webinars. Our next webinar will be on 14th of January with Matt Mervis, which will focus on AI literacy for career growth. And we look forward to seeing you all there.
Thank you. Thank you so much for
You're welcome.
this space, and we'll see each other soon.
Soon. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone.